Hi everyone, and welcome to another glaze review on the Maritime Ceramics YouTube channel. My name is Kate, and today I'm going to be testing Spectrum Glaze's Floating Turquoise. Apologies for the very bright blue gloves. I have reached that point in the winter in Canada, and honestly, winter hasn't even started yet, but the skin is drying out. So when I'm doing things like glazing now, I'm using gloves just to protect my fingers so that I can keep throwing without my skin cracking in half. So with that charming beginning, let's dive in. I bought the Spectrum Glaze because I'm on the hunt for a more readily available alternative to a glaze that I've been using for a while now from the ceramic shop, which is called Jewelry. I'll overlay some images of that here because it is market season, it's leading up to Christmas, so all of my stuff is basically out there in the world waiting to be purchased, hopefully. I love the Jewelry glaze. It's a little finicky, but I do love it. But it is from a supplier in the United States, and especially with the tariff situation right now, it's becoming really difficult to get some of that stuff. And so I'm on the hunt for a replacement. Over the winter, I'm also going to be doing some glaze tests, making my own glaze. So we'll see if that works out. But this one from Spectrum looked like it might have some possibility for replacing that glaze in my studio. So it is one of their floating glazes. It says to apply 3 coats. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to apply 2. I might do 3 coats on one of my tests, but typically Spectrum, 3 coats is too much, and they pinhole and pit and so on and so forth. It is lead-free, non-toxic, and dinnerware safe, so that's perfect because that's exactly what I want, something to use on mugs and such. So let's shake it up and dive in. Just a little tab on this, okay. So I am hoping to find something that breaks that nice light green color and has that kind of light Tiffany blue shade to it, which is just turquoise. So we'll see if this fits the bill. What are we going to test it on today? So I have 3 pots. Usually I try to do more, but again, market season, and I'm kind of running out of testers. So we'll do one on our white clay. This, I think, is porcelain, but I wouldn't swear to it, and we'll see when it's fired. I'm going to test it on red clay. So this is Pottery Supply House 500, which is a beautiful deep dark red when it's fired, but it does eat up a lot of glazes. So it's a tough clay to work with in terms of glazing sometimes, but it's just really beautiful when it's fired. So I'm going to try it on this as well. We'll see how it does on texture, and we'll see how it does on the dark clay. And then this is a reclaim bowl. So it is the Frankenstein clay. It's got buff speckle in there. It's got probably some red clay, some porcelain, some white stoneware, who knows? It's all in here. So we'll see what it does on this. I am not going to try layering it, I don't think, unless something changes between now and the end of the episode, which it does sometimes. I don't typically layer the Jewelry glaze, and that's why I really want to understand what floating turquoise looks like just on its own, so I can understand if it's going to be a replacement for that glaze or if it might be just a different glaze that I want to work into the studio. And this is why I'm wearing gloves, because when you're glazing, you're always getting stuff on your hands, and then you get to wash your hands and it just dries them out really fast. So do we brush or do we pour? I think I'm going to brush on this guy because this is the test that I'm really the most curious to see what the results are like. And I find the brushing is kind of a more honest test, if that makes sense at all. So if you're in the United States, the ceramic shop do have some really neat glazes. The Jewelry glaze, I should really do a full review on that one, but it's kind of gives that beachy vibe, which I really like. It does have some challenges, like I said, but sometimes the prettiest glazes are the most temperamental. I'll brush on this one as well. I think I'll pour into the white one because white is the least likely to do any pinholing or anything weird. So I think if it's a little thicker, it's not the end of the world. We'll see. So it is very, very possible that at the end of all of this testing and trialing, I'm just going to end up finding a way to get that jewelry glaze from the ceramic shop because I really, really do like it. Cat likes it too. Okay, I'm gonna pour it on. Oh, there you go. Don't drink the glaze water, Kit. Listen, there. Now you can't get at it. Ah. That's right, foiled again. When will I learn not to turn the pot? Probably never. No, I am really giving this some time to drip out because, like I say, the Spectrum glazes typically don't like to be too thick. So I don't want to get a whole bunch pooled in the bottom. So I will be patient and I will sit here and I will hold it. Actual patience may vary. So if I like this glaze, I would buy it in the dipping version for sure. I'm getting to that point in my pottery career where taking a lot of time brushing on glazes doesn't make sense for the glazes that I use the most. So, like I say, the nice thing about the Spectrum glazes is that usually 2 coats is enough. We'll see, I've poured the interior of this, which is really more like 3 coats. So if it needs 3 coats, we'll see that on this bowl. I mentioned that it's, that Christmas season right now. So if you are watching this at the time that it's posted, or I guess around Christmas time and any year thereafter, I'm curious to know what your top seller is at Christmas time. I'm finding, which I think is not unusual, that each market I go to, it's something different, which makes it really difficult to plan. So really interested to hear from other potters what you find your biggest seller is around this time of the year. And also tell me where you're at, because I think location makes a difference. I think just, different areas have different buying patterns and so on. So let me know down in the comments. that with some of the major brands, like your Amico and your Mako, it's really easy to find, well, I shouldn't say that, but it is possible to find a decent amount of test videos or on their Facebook groups, that kind of thing. But when you get to some of the smaller suppliers, Coyote or Spectrum, even Laguna, which I feel like is a pretty popular brand, it's more difficult to find actual real-world examples of them in use. So I am trying to make a point on my channel of including those other brands and not just sticking to, you know, the Amicos, which you're probably going to be able to find a review of somewhere else, but trying to be a little more inclusive. This was just one coat on here, right? One more coat to do? Did I do 2 coats? I think that's just one coat. Yeah, it's just one coat. Again, I'm not trying to be too super careful with this, not like I would with a Celadon, because it is a floating glaze and I am expecting that it will be fairly forgiving. Although I will say that the glaze I'm trying to replace, that ceramic shop jewelry, is not particularly forgiving. That's done. I think this is going to be a pretty short video. So we have a possibly porcelain bowl poured inside and with 2 coats on the outside. We have the Frankenstein clay with 2 coats brushed inside, 2 coats brushed outside. And we have the red clay, Pottery Supply House 500, with 2 brushed coats inside only, because the outside is kind of low and there's no real obvious place to stop it on the outside. So we're going to pop these in the kiln. I've actually got a kiln load ready to go. I had to raw glaze a bunch of stuff again to get ready for the market. So I'm going to pop these in as soon as they dry, and hopefully we'll have the results soon. Well, you'll have them right away. I might need to wait. Okay, everyone, through the magic of television or YouTube, as the case may be, we have our results for Spectrum's Floating Turquoise. If you saw the kiln unloading that I posted recently, you've had a sneak peek at these, but we're going to take a much closer look at them now. And I've also got some comparisons for you. I think I said when I was glazing these that I didn't have examples of the jewelry because it's market season, and indeed it is, but in that kiln unloading, I had some new pots with the very last bits of my jewelry glaze from the ceramic shop, and this is what it looks like. So this is jewelry on Pottery Supply House 500. It is obviously a red clay, nice dark, saturated red color, which I love. And I'm going to try turning off this light. Yeah, I think that's actually better. Okay. So we can see, like, there's a lot of interesting things going on here. It keeps the same color on both red clay and white clay, which I like because I like this color. It does show thickness of application quite a bit. But yeah, that is what it looks like on Pottery Supply House 500. And this is it on, I think this is the stoneware, the 519 clay. One of the things with jewelry is that sometimes you do get this, I don't even think it's crawling. I don't know maybe it is crawling. Just like bare patches that kind of randomly show up. Now, I did paint this particular cup on instead of dipping it because I did raw glazing. Anyway, doesn't matter. The point is that it could have been my application that was the issue. Same here. But this is what it looks like on the white clay. So this is what I'm after. This kind of light green, where it breaks light green, and then that pretty blue color in the texture. So the first pot I pulled out was this guy. This is on the kind of Frankenstein reclaimed clay. Now, I wonder if I need to let's turn the light back on for this one. So I hope that the color is accurately reproduced on camera. I'm going to try really hard to make sure that it is, but we all know that screens are always a little bit different. So this pot in person looks much greener than the jewelry glaze. So I don't know if you can see the difference there. Get a lot of glare. Okay, I'm going to turn the light back off. Lighting when you're filming glossy ceramics is a challenge. If you have ideas, let me know. So yeah, green versus blue, very, very different. Now, these are two different clays, but again, compared to this jewelry color, quite a bit greener. So pretty, very pretty. Wasn't quite what I was after. In terms of the quality, I don't see any pinholes on this at all. It is pretty much a flawless surface. So did well on that front. This is Floating Turquoise on Pottery Supply House 500 clay. Again, this is a really pretty result. I would use this, actually. It's not what I was after. So again, this is what I was after. This is what I got. That is, to be very clear, not Spectrum's fault. It was just me experimenting with a glaze that looked online like it might kind of be what I was after. Online, usually this looks much, much bluer than I'm seeing in person. So this is why we do these tests, right? So very pretty, shows the texture really, really well. The floating bit works nicely. I would certainly use this, just not to replace this. And then the last one, this is the Floating Turquoise on, I'm going to say this one is porcelain. Yeah, so you can see the slight color difference. This one here, this cup, is stoneware, and this is porcelain. This one, again, very pretty. closer to what I was after, but this result would change a little bit on the stoneware body. This seems to be very sensitive to the clay body, so I would have to test it on the stoneware to know for sure if it was going to kind of do what I wanted it to do. But it is very pretty. I don't know if you remember, but I did this glazing a little haphazardly. It was kind of a half and half scenario, and you can kind of see that a little bit, but not in a bad way. So in general, this seems to be a very forgiving glaze. So I don't see any potholes, pinholes. You can tell it's winter in Canada. I don't see any pinholes on any of these. They all turned out to be very pretty. I like this. I actually may continue to use this. I'm going to use up this pint and we'll see. Really like this color. It's a very maritime-y color to me. Like I'm seeing those ocean colors, that kind of greeny, bluey ocean tone, which very much fits into my aesthetic in terms of the pots that I make. So this is a contender for being in my glaze library, but I don't think it's a contender for replacing this glaze. So the hunt continues for glazes that look like the ceramic shop's jewelry glaze. If you have ideas on other glazes that I should try, as I'm on my quest to find a substitute for this glaze, let me know in the comments. That would be really helpful. Like I say, I may just end up ordering more, but you know, this glaze isn't perfect. It does have its downsides, right? It does not like to be applied thinly. So I do lose not a lot of pots, but more than I would like. When I refire this, it really washes out the glaze. So, I mean, it's fine, but it's not really what I'm after. I'd also be interested in hearing about your results with the floating turquoise. I have not tried layering it here, again, because, you know, I was after something very specific. So if you've layered it with something and it's turned out spectacularly well, I'd love to hear about that too. And maybe if you're interested, maybe we should do a part 2 of the floating turquoise with some layering options. I don't know. Let me know down in the comments. What do you think? With that, thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you did like the video. I hope you did, if you made it to the end. And I hope that you found something useful in this video today. Clearly, what's useful is not my lighting, because my light has just turned off on its own. But we'll work on that for the next video, I promise. Thanks for watching, everybody.